Honey, that's your story. Don't let somebody else make your story. You don't have to worry about this person did this role first, and then they did this role next, and then they did this role next. You create your own story. Y'all, we get so caught up on knowing just the skills that someone taught us. Don't be afraid to position yourself as an expert for the skills that you've learned yourself, things that you know, things that you've self-taught. When you do what you love, you truly, truly never feel like you're working a day in your life.
That
And
is it.
so,
I just love it. Hey, HR, how you doing, Miss Tamika? How's it going?
hello, I can't complain. It's another day I'm breathing, another day I'm living. So I'm so thankful, and I'm thankful for this platform and to get my face in front of these folks and get them going on this career path to the next level. So I am a
Awesome.
girl that's from the South. I'm from Charleston, South Carolina. So y'all gonna get a little bit of Geechee out of me. You'll hear some y'all hear some folks, you'll hear a little bit of Southern talk, but let me warn you that I talk fast. I talk pretty fast, so you guys gonna have to keep up, write your notes, but definitely put whatever you like in the chat because I want us to completely talk about developing your career strategy and your career development. For those of you who may not have ever seen me before, may not know who I am, I'm going to do a bit of an introduction. I am Tamika Green, and I have a double master's and master's of business administration as well as human resources management. I have the highest level SHRM certification, which is a senior certified professional certification. I've worked in HR for 10 years. And so I consider myself a human resources career coach, which is a little bit different from your traditional career coach. I specialize in those folks who want to start and grow their human resources career. Some of the positions that I personally have held that I have been literally sitting in that role is as an HR assistant. That's where I started my career, grew into a specialist, then a generalist, then an HR associate, same as a generalist, function the same. And then I worked as a recruiter, worked as a senior talent acquisition specialist, which is a little bit more of a strategic role on the recruiting approach. And then I've been a human resources director. I've also been a human resources consultant. And now I'm currently a human resources business partner, very similar to a human resources director. And so the industries that I've worked in range as well. Y'all, you'll be like, oh my God, this girl's been all over the place and why? And this is something I want you to see. I want you to see where I've been so that you can see how to create your own career strategy, your own career development. It's completely your story and how you want to make it. Me personally, I'm not embarrassed to say I've had all of these job titles. Some of them I've had at the same organization, right? So I've been promoted into roles multiple times at different organizations. And some of them I've decided, okay, I want to do this now. And that's so that I can be a well rounded professional. So I can say I am comfortable in this space. I'm not researching these positions when I educate you guys about them. I've done them. I add a little bit of current research with it, but majority of it is totally from my experience. The same as working in different industries. Some of the biggest things we want to hit on today is making sure that you know how to define what a career strategy is and what career development is, and then creating your own career strategy and then implementing that career development. So, some important takeaways. Now, this just from your girl right here is to create your own career story. Honey, that's your story. Don't let somebody else make your story. You don't have to worry about this person did this role first, and then they did this role next, and then they did this role next. You create your own story. What is it that you want to do in your career? Another thing that I want to make sure you take home beyond all of this basic foundational stuff that I need you to know in order to take these takeaways is that it's so, so true. When you do what you love, you will never feel like you're working. Listen, it's been a blessing for the last 10 years. As long as I've worked in human resources, I have not ever felt like I'm working, even when I have that difficult boss, that chaotic day, those times when I have a whole list of things to do and I don't touch one thing on it because my day, my week went in a completely different direction. When you do what you love, you truly, truly never feel like you're working a day in your life. And so let's talk a bit about what a career strategy is. So, a career strategy, by definition, is any behavior, activity, or experience designed to help a person meet their career goals. You'll say, oh, Tamika, this sounds so like Webster, right? Webster Dictionary or Merriam Webster or what have you. So, I'm going to break this down just a little bit for you. The main aspects of your career strategy is your job titles, your salary, your industry, and your company size, right? Those are all the things we already know to look for. I think people hone in on job titles, they hone in on salaries. But the biggest things that are going to help you define what job titles or what salary is going to be the industry and the company size. Not every industry is going to have the same job title. Not every company size is going to have the same job titles. And it's not going to allow you to have the same career development that your partner, your colleague may have had or that you may have aspired to have. And so that's what causes you to create your own career strategy so that you can achieve your own career goals. And so you also want to know that in your career strategy, you're embedded with those knowledge, those skills, your experiences. And one of the biggest things that everybody seems to forget is your emotional desire. Honey, ain't got nothing to do with these titles, the salaries, the industries, the company size, the knowledge, the experience, or the skills. It has everything to do with, are you happy? Are you satisfied? Do you have clarity? When you have that, you can achieve everything on this list plus some. Some of the aspects of your career strategy, just to take this a tad bit further and give you a little bit more understanding of it, is clarity. This is where you not only define your career field and your industry, but you learn what you want to do and what you can do. Then you know how to connect those transferable skills to your career success. So many people are starting their career and they get nervous, like, I'm applying everywhere and I can't seem to get in there. Well, the difference is because you have not identified how to present your transferable skills as the person that they're looking for in the job title or the job posting that they're trying to fill. That's very, very important. When you have career clarity, then you know exactly how to do that. Don't forget that you have soft skills. These soft skills are going to be important in your career strategy because you're going to use these soft skills that you're most comfortable with to improve other skills. Once you know, like, okay, I'm really good at speaking, then you start getting good at, how do I connect with the audience? How do I make a presentation? How do I do different things? And then you're going to position those skills to take your career to the next level. And so you also don't want to forget your knowledge. Y'all, we get so caught up on knowing just the skills that someone taught us. Don't be afraid to position yourself as an expert for the skills that you've learned yourself, things that you know, things that you've self taught. So take the skills, not only that you were taught, but the ones you taught yourself. And then what you're going to do is use those to help you gain credibility and gain momentum in your day to day duties of your career. But through it all, I don't think people realize that intentionally or unintentionally, you're always creating your personal brand. And so you want to make sure that you get to know others, that you let those others know your mindset, what areas to speak to for you when they're speaking and you're not in the room. And what type of professional are you? And what type of things can you produce? Y'all, you don't have to go out and like introduce yourself to people all the time and be like, hey, listen, so I need you to know that I do this, 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 this. Just talk to it in casual conversation and people will take that home with them. And what they'll do is when they're in a room, they'll be like, I like Tamika, I roll into her and she was talking about some real stuff. You've already created that personal brand. And so let's talk about career development. Career development, by definition, is the support of an organization and how they provide to the employee professional growth, especially to employees' movement within a new position at their organization or a project within that organization. So, some of the aspects of this, which is a little bit outside of a career strategy, right, is going to be your career growth. You might want to get a higher title. You might want a higher salary. You might want more autonomy. You might want some of those company perks that doesn't come for the individual contributors, but definitely come for the leaders. And so many times we get caught up in a higher salary and a higher title that we don't realize that we may get some really good intrinsic value from that autonomy. Hey, give me a job, give me an end goal of what you want me to do, a task of what you want me to do. And let me just do it. But don't tell me step by step, hey, so you got to do this first, you got to do that next. I love me a good old career autonomy. And then I love some career perks. I like getting reimbursed for my membership. Well, it's nice when you work for an organization that allows you to do those things and they say, hey, I'm going to pay for it because they know that that brings you more value within the workplace. And then using skills for a project or a company goal, intellectual freedom for projects or process development or improvement. Now, your intellectual freedom is going to be a little bit different from your autonomy. Your autonomy is saying, I know this end goal and these are the things I'm going to do myself. I'm going to create my own process. I'm going to create my own way of getting to this end goal. Your intellectual freedom is saying, how can I get here? I'm going to think a little bit differently. What do I like to do? I really like using Canva, or I really like using PowerPoint, or I really like using Prezi. So you're going to use whichever one really works for you that you can perform your best at, and you're going to use that for the company projects or how to improve that process. Some aspects of a career development is going to be your career goals, your skills analysis, your potential barriers, as well as your action plan. So your career goals are, where do you see yourself in 1 to 3 years? People get so caught up on what retirement looks like and what that end goal looks like that they seem to forget that so many times you really, really have to work on the steps or the foundation to get to that 20-year end goal. So you want to look at some of these questions, do a screenshot of them, and make sure that you know exactly how to analyze these different aspects of your career development, because personal barriers are the biggest important ones to me, and making sure that you create those milestones according to the barriers that you may have, but also not forgetting to use your skills in a way that helps you propel it. So if you already have those skills, how will you tell others? How do you make sure to channel that information? And if you don't have those skills, how will you develop them or improve them? The career process, this really should have been more of a circle instead of it being a line, because it's one that really kind of goes consistently over and over again. But it traditionally starts with you feeling uncomfortable. Imposter syndrome is a big thing into that. So you want to create ways to lead that imposter syndrome. And then you have that enlightening moment. After you get comfortable with being uncomfortable and you challenge those feelings, then you start having enlightenment moments. You start having light bulb moments. You're connecting the dots better. You're like, so if I do this, then I can do this. And if I did that, then I must be able to do this. And you don't need guidance on that. You've already grown to that enlightenment stage. And then you start feeling risky. So you're like, you know what, if I did this, then I can do this. And you're not really asking for permission, but you find yourself asking for forgiveness because you know the end result is going to be really, really good. And because you do that, now leaders are really giving you compliments. And so you're feeling more valued. Your leaders, your coworkers, your internal and external stakeholders, they appreciate your work and they just feel more valued and they show it in multiple ways to you. And then after that, you start feeling more achieved because at this moment, you're like, listen, I already got comfortable being uncomfortable. I already know how to make this thing work. I already know which risk I'm willing to take, which ones I'm willing to own, which ones are worth taking. And I already heard folks tell me how amazing I am. And not only did they tell me, but they showed me in my compensation, they showed me in my autonomy, they showed me in my perks and benefits. And so now the biggest thing you want to know is, how do you start? Tamika, how do I get through this whole evolution? Start with the career goals or a list. Make a list of the job titles you want to attain. You don't have to make it perfect. You don't have to make sure that it goes into a particular order. You just want to also put that with a targeted salary for a certain time frame. People always say, well, I don't know what the salary is, but you know exactly how much you need to keep your lights on, how much you need to pay the bills, how much you need to keep going throughout the day. So that's your basic, and you just gonna start growing from that along with those job titles. You want career exposure, so you want to learn more about those industries, learn more about those company sizes, learn more about those locations and the opportunities that it affords you. And the way that you do that particularly is not only just going through and doing a good research through all the resources that's available on Google or those company websites, but also by building your network. So you can do this in person, virtual groups and affiliations, volunteerism, or mentoring programs. And so you want to implement that. Once you create that list, you will help identify the areas of how you can grow and improve. And don't be afraid to start going out there with some requests. Ask your leaders, hey, what are some ways that I can build my career here? Hey, these are the things that I thought about. Can I implement those here? That's how you're going to start putting in those requests to implement these changes and get that career growth. But don't forget that networking is pivotal. Your network is not limited to the people you see every day. You can obviously build your network through social media. LinkedIn is my number one place. Facebook is my number two, ironically. I'm not a big Facebook fan, but it's housed with so many professional groups and people are talking your lingo every single day. So y'all do a Google search in your group section and Facebook is huge. And if it's somebody that you found a connection with, don't let expand in and you not keep that connection. You don't have to have lunch with them. You don't even have to necessarily meet them. But what you can do is just do a quick DM, a direct message, or email and say, hi, I hope all is well. Happy holidays, whatever. That goes a long way. I've done it a lot. People have done it to me. It's really, really pivotal. And so some of the resources that you can use to build your network are professional groups, colleagues, as well as social media. So this can be online, in-person job boards, associations, or memberships. I already told you guys that. And you want to use not only your past coworkers and your past leaders, but your current coworkers, your current leaders, your future coworkers, your future leaders. Make sure that you know that professional groups and associations and memberships are huge. That's a great way to get your name in spaces where you are not, as well as mentors. It doesn't have to be a mentoring group where you literally signed a contract and this person knows they're your mentor. I have people who have been my mentor for years and they have no idea. I've watched their movement. I've had conversations with them. I go to events where they are. And obviously, social media. I already told you guys about LinkedIn and Facebook. Now, I know I couldn't do much in this short period of time. Please feel free to go to HR on YouTube. It's not just focused at human resources professional. That is, kind of my focus, but there's some focuses there and tons of videos that you can use. Almost 200 different uploads, and one includes networking. So it goes into a deeper dive of how to build your network. Child Please is a video that tells you guys all about how to keep those boundaries in the workplace and keep those folks in the office out your business, but to still keep it professional and grow that network. And then my three dumbest careers mistakes. Mistakes I want you to know is not exclusive to me. It could be anyone. And then tons of resources for HR professionals. If you want to get a degree versus a certification. If you get a certification, do you want SHRM or HRCI? So you guys may wonder, how can I contact you? How can I get a hold of you? How can I get more from you? This is too quick. You talk too fast. Then you can find me primarily on YouTube and IG with Heyyy HR, but I'm always in LinkedIn, Tamika Green. So feel free to connect, or you can send me a direct email at tamika@heyyhr.com. Visit my website at heyyhr.com.